Hello again, everybody, and welcome back. Another episode here of Banish the Doubt. Today's episode, I want to title it, If You Understand This Power, then everything in your life changes instantly, right now, in this moment. I know it seems a long title, but you'll get what I'm talking about here in a second, okay? So there's a couple of quotes here that I want to share with you guys. And the first one is simply, our words are a container. So think about your words, the way you speak. What type of power do you want to carry around with you? Okay. So think of it this way. Think of it as how I speak, what I convey to the world. There's power within that. There's either negative or positive power. How I what I carry in this container is up to me. Okay. So now your words are spells and your thoughts are infected. So think of the words that we use. And when I say think of the words we use, I'm talking about the words that we sort of repeatedly use. You're going to find out after watching this video that we tend to use the same words over and over again. What does society use today? What's sort of the catchphrase or the acronym? OMG, right? So think of society today. How many people are using that? They see something, hear something, and it's OMG, oh my God. We don't even realize we're unconsciously that these words we're almost in a spell where we just sort of float. We don't walk or we don't act within the moment. Okay, so think about that for a second. The words you use every day, okay, these words are holding you back from the life that you want. It's not your fault, however. You've been programmed by society's language. What I just mentioned, OMG, oh my God. If you watch and follow sports, you'll know that the Mets just finished their season here a couple of weeks ago. And what was the big splashy words they use or letters? OMG, oh my God, OMG, oh my God, right? I think they sang about it or something. Okay. To live within invisible boundaries. I'm not saying that we can't have fun. Sure, we can in being in the moment and being, at an event or something. But just understand though that there's this framework around us. There's these invisible boundaries that we don't even realize that we're living by. And I'm going to continue with this in this video here to sort of put this together for you, understand how we want, and through these videos, creating more awareness about what exactly is taking place around us, how this shapes our life, but more importantly, how it's by design. A lot of it is, the majority of it is by design. Right. So I'll stand up here for this because there's a lot of stuff on the board here that I'm going to be reciting. So it's time now to reprogram your mind. Channel words with intention, okay? Reclaim your power as the main character in your life. So again, I'm not saying that we can't enjoy the moment or you're at an event or what have you, but really start to become aware of how we carry ourselves each day, but more so the words we use. So I'll give you an example of this. So the other day I was with some people, and whatever the conversation was, this one young person said, "Oh, if that were up to me, I'd burn the place down." It's funny and what have you in the moment, but it really, in that moment, it kind of encapsulates the mindset within this person. Again, society's language or what have you, it's funny in the moment, but it really gives an insight as to the type of the thinking that this person has. And they've said other things in the past as well that sort of gave this insight as to this mindset or the self-image that they carry. And most people carry self-images that is negative, and we don't even realize that we're using these words. But if you understand, and through these videos is my intention that we start to understand that our subconscious, our mind doesn't understand ha ha funny in the moment. It just takes us at our word. Okay? So the words we use every day are controlling us. And here's what nobody has ever told us about this. We've never been told this before. Our words quietly wire our minds. So like I just talked about, the neurochemistry, the connections within our minds are being wired by the words we use. And oftentimes, the majority of times, the words are repetitive. We don't realize, oh my God, OMG, typically used in an enhanced state of adrenaline. And the majority of society is addicted to this adrenaline. And how we know this is because how much sugar does society consume? Foods that are high in carbohydrates, high in sugar content. Well, what is that attributed to? Adrenaline. Drive fast. We eat foods like this, consume alcohol. Our society is addicted to this adrenaline rush. So the words like that are adding to this rush of adrenaline. Okay? So this is shaping our world. It's wiring our minds, and it shapes our world because what we see, how we speak, the words we use go out to the world. And what the world does is it mirrors back to us exactly what we're putting out. So we're in this almost like this vicious cycle of putting out, coming back, putting out, coming back, and we end up like this hamster in a wheel. We are just running and running and running and running, but never actually getting anywhere until now, until we start to become aware of this. So, I mean, think about think about this for a second. Society's language, right? What do we call, well, what does society call you and I going to work tomorrow, working our 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever it is, job, Monday to Friday? Happy hour on Thursday night, right? Thank God it's Friday. Here's the weekend. We're all happy, happy. Now today is Sunday. I'm making this video. Where's our minds going to? Usually around noontime, lunchtime, afternoon. Start thinking about work again. Society labels this what? You probably already thought this or answered this, the rat race. Now think about that for a second. You're going to grow up, or you've grown up, you're raising children, let's say, and you're positioning them to say, okay, now son or daughter, you're going to now enter this, what mom and I are doing, or we've been doing, or now maybe you're retired, rat race. Would you ever enter your child into a race known as a rat race and say, not only are you going to enter this, right, but you're going to stay in this thing along with the other rats for the next 20 or 30 years? Of course not. But this is the society's language. This is what I want to talk about. If you understand this, you get a grip of this, you're going to have power that the average person, 90% of the society, does not even know of. They're asleep. If you watch any of my previous videos, I think it was maybe the second or third video back, you may have heard me talk about a statistic that 90% of the society is asleep. 5% are awakened to what's going on. 1% controls the world. But that 1% does not want the 5% doing anything with the 90 and waking them up. But this is what we're doing. We are aware, becoming aware ourselves by making videos or by being parts of this. Just by the energy that we're getting this, we're putting off, we're influencing that 90%. Whether they wake up or not, it's up to them, but we're at least understanding, we're understanding this. Okay. So setting limits on what we think is possible. It's been happening since the moment when we learned how to speak. So right there, that goes back to who were our caregivers, mom and dad, grandparents. This is how they spoke society's language and just transferred that information and that energy down to us. Right. Now, this carefully guarded secret. Okay? For centuries, powerful people, what I just talked about, the 1%, have known how language creates reality. The way you speak, the way I speak, the words we use are creating our reality. And we don't even realize it until now. Words aren't just communication, they're programming tools for the mind. Simply choosing certain words, we open doors to success, love, and happiness, or we seal ourselves off in a prison of limitation. I can versus I can't. Money doesn't grow on trees. What does now? Have you heard that phrase growing up? What that money? Son. Daughter. Money doesn't grow on trees. We got to work for this money. What that does oftentimes is it starts to plant seeds within the child's head of, oh, I have to work hard for money. We don't have a lot of money. Limitation, victim. This reinforces, if you've heard it more than one time, it would reinforce this image within us. Maybe guilt. If I wasn't asking for those types of presents, then mom and dad wouldn't have to work so hard. In my personal upbringing, lots of very nasty arguments in my household over that exact over money. Lots of arguments over who's working harder, who's bringing more to the table. I'm breaking my back out. That was a big phrase when I was growing up. Breaking my back out there every day. And whatever my mom said. But that image, I can still see the argument in my mind right now taking place. That image, it gets seared into our brains. And what this does is it starts to plant these seeds, and we don't even realize, again, these invisible walls that are set up around us that keep us from achieving the life that we could have, that is there for us to have. Okay? So the language we've been taught is built to keep us contained. So again, the words, I started off this video with the words, our words are containers that we carry around. What kind of words are we putting in this container? Today, my objective, my intention is to help us to understand that and start to empty out that container with old limiting words and more self-empowering words by having these types of videos. Every word, every thought sends signals in your brain that change how you see the world and what you think is possible. I will say that again. Every word, every thought sends signals in your brain that change how you see the world and what you think is possible. How do you see the world? If you see the world as a lot of strife, a lot of crime, a lot of anger, a lot of world wars, or not world wars, but wars, this is how you are wiring your brain to see the world. But it's not the world. This is sort of paradoxical. It's not the world. It's your world. How do you see your world? What is your world like? Irrespective of anything else, because it's your world, how you see yourself in your world, that you are going to affect yourself. But understand the media plays a big role in this and how you see your world, how it influences by framing, things of that nature, how you see your world. 90%, 99% of people have no idea this even exists. Okay? This right here, 99% of the people out there have no idea this exists. Our words and our thoughts, our habitual words and thoughts. Okay? Imagine knowing that every choice that you make, okay, that you hold, goal that you choose, or belief or word you speak, imagine that it was all shaped by forces you never knew existed. Think about that because we go back to our childhood and all of this, just like I talked about, arguments within the household about money, that was influencing choices we're going to make, goals we're going to try to achieve, beliefs that we have about ourselves and about our world, and what kind of words are we going to speak. But it was all shaped by forces we never even knew existed. Forces that shaped our parents' words, our parents, the type of goals they had, the choices they made, and the type of a job they had, the mate, their husband and their wife, all of that, the beliefs they had, the words they spoke, forces they didn't even know existed because going back, you go back into ancient times, forces then were controlling. It was all about control language. Control the language, control the way people speak, and you control them. Because most of them, 99%, people don't even know this stuff exists. Okay? Language is a system of control, of controlling our emotions. This is very, very big. Understand and really absorb this. Be like a sponge and really absorb this here. Language, the language we speak, is filled with hidden meanings designed to keep us in line. Every word, every phrase repeated is a part of the spelling. Okay, we talk about spelling words. Well, the word spell is right in there. Words have the power to create and control. When we speak or spell words, we bring ideas to life. Say, for instance, the word contract I have here, okay? Contract is a binding path. The word contract. Yeah, if you're watching this and let's say you own a home, you have a contract, the binding path, okay? It's not just brings people together, the contracts, but it locks us into a path with rules and obligations, pretending to protect while limiting freedom. It creates invisible chains, agreements which are hard to escape from. That's the word contract within, again, society's language. We enter into contracts, but the average person doesn't understand what they're getting themselves into. They just go ahead and they'll blindly just sign contracts. I remember when I used to be involved with mortgages, people would be buying homes and they'd be all excited and happy. But they're not prepared. They're not really physically, not physically, not really emotionally they weren't really financially all that prepared to own a home. Think about what happened back in the early 2000s. People were, the old saying was if you could fog up a mirror, you could get a mortgage, you could get a contract. Then everything fell apart because people were not prepared to enter into a contract and it destroyed the economy. But this is, again, language filled with hidden meanings that we didn't even realize, or we don't even know. Think about the word human, human, okay, and man, a being of light and energy. You and I've said this before, we are spiritual beings having this human existence. The majority of who we are is space, is nothing. You may have heard me say this in previous videos, and it's been spoken about many times. We are made up of atoms and cells, 50 trillion cells. Within inside those cells are atoms. Atoms are 99.99999% nothing, and 0.000001% matter. So we are all nothing, more nothing than we are something. And 60% of what we are made up of is water. And I'm going to get to an experiment here that was done several years ago that's really going to sort of tie this in. So hang tight and you're going to watch that. And when you see this, you're going to say, wow, I never heard this before. And it's usually by design. You never heard this before. Okay. Actually, two examples, but one is about water. Okay. So does society see us this way as a being of light and energy? We're taught, however, to view ourselves physical, just as a body, a limited being. This is how we're taught to view ourselves. Remember, though, a hidden reminder inside the word human that we are energy. We're more energy than anything else. Now, I want you to think, have you ever heard a sportscaster say, wow, you can feel the energy in this place? Think about any type of sporting event, concert you went to. What do you talk about? What do sportscasters talk about? They can what? Feel the energy in this place, right? Well, that's us, humans. It's the energy. It's who we are. I can feel the energy when I walked into the room, and it's a Friday night or a Thursday night happy hour. What's the energy? It's up. It's positive. That's the energy. So a sportscaster will talk about a football game or Super Bowl, the energy around that. That's all the people there. That's all the energy they are emitting, the positive energy. Okay. Now, did they ever stop and say, hey, that's because we're all made of energy? Why not? Because we don't understand that we're all under a spell based off of the language, the words that we use. We're blindly going around acting out these words, this language, and we don't even realize it. This is oftentimes why you'll find people going out seeking out alcohol and other forms of drugs to help to balance out the energy, because the stress that's created, I just talked about going into contracts, right? You have to you have a job, you have an occupation. What's the first word in occupation? Occupy. The job is occupying, right, your time. It's occupying you for 8, 10, 11 hours a day, whatever it may be. 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week. You get a mortgage, and suddenly you have a situation, or even a rent. You can't seem to afford the rent or the mortgage. What do we need? A second occupation, a second job, something else that occupies more of our time. And we get into this again, this rat race that I talked about here a few minutes ago. We are light, capable of more than you're told, or we're told. Simple words like awaken carry hidden meanings. Wake. What do we talk about as far as awake? We go to awake is not awaken, but wake is gathering after a death. True awakening is a kind of a death then, a death of old beliefs. We'll talk about here in this video. We're waking up. We are expanding our awareness, becoming more aware. Old beliefs, we're recognizing, we're sort of bringing that to the surface. Like, oh, wow, these words that I use, words that are disempowering. We're going to talk about here today, switching to more empowering words and removing the old beliefs or the old disempowering words, and to blindly following scripts society handed to us, to let go of the part of us that has been asleep, okay, unaware of the language that's been shaping our reality. So consider each morning when we rise again. Tomorrow morning, we're going to what? Rise again, okay? But looking closer, morning sounds just like mourning. Each day when we wake up, we are mourning the loss of dreams and potential. I would like just to ask you, watching this, do you have a goal? Do you have a dream? Do you have something that you're working towards? Now, I would also like for you to understand this and think of it this way. There is no tomorrow. There is no future, just like there is no past. There only is right now, this moment. You're watching me in this video. This is right now. Your life, my life, our lives, nothing more than now moments. The words, the thoughts that you have right now in this very moment is shaping your life. Whatever you think of this video, whatever you think of your life as of this moment is shaping your world here in this moment and shaping your life. As you start to grab hold of and understand, like I mentioned that young girl in the beginning of this video, talking about herself that way, as we start to catch these in these moments, catch ourselves, those are victories. Those are understanding the old beliefs that we want to get rid of. So we may wake up with dreams and goals. However, now let's say you watch this video tomorrow, you're like, that's it. I'm waking up and that's a new me. And I have all new goals and dreams and affirmations. But by 5 o'clock, gone is the desire. Why? Because the old beliefs and subconscious beliefs that are there that we don't even realize are working in the background. I'll talk more about that here in a second. It's a script that we've been given since birth that plays in the background. It's if you ever saw my previous videos, I illustrated this with a hourglass. The top part of the hourglass are our thoughts and our thoughts that we have, that these new awareness thoughts. We're all excited. Goes through the neck, if you will, or the center of the hourglass. That's our analytical mind. Those are the old beliefs that are not cemented so much, that are in our subconscious. Gets sifted through there, and then it comes out the bottom, which is our life. That middle part is what I'm talking about here, changing that so that the top part of the hourglass, those thoughts that we have, the desires, the new awareness, as it goes through and it comes out the bottom, the same as what is up top, because we're changing this here in the middle of the hourglass. Okay? Look up at the universe. Think of it this way. The word universe, we'll break it down. Uni, which is one. Verse, word. The universe is made up. It's one word. It's a single vibration, okay? From which everything unfolds. This universe is a single word, single vibration of which everything unfolds. This idea suggests that everything is created through language, one word, spoken into being. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Things never work out for me. I'm not confident around people, social gatherings, whatever it may be. Well, the universe, one word, is made up. And what we think about, we bring about. So this idea is spoken into being. However you think about yourself, about whatever it is, again, in this now moment, broadcasts out to the world. And your world reflects back exactly the way you're thinking. So if you change your thinking, you're going to change the words that come out of your mouth. And as you change your thinking and the words that come out of your mouth, your world, again, not the world, your world can't do anything other than reflect back to you the change that you've made, the thoughts that you have, that's turned into the words that you use. This is the way we change everything in our life, but you can change it in the moment. We don't necessarily see it outwardly, but it does change in the moment because everything is right now. But we've been led, we've been trained, we've been put under a spell that, oh, no, we have to see it out there first before we can believe it. That's the spell that needs to be broken. And it's broken in the moment you become aha aware. Understand, universe, one word. That is this world operates on. Reality is a continuous spell, each part connected through words. Then emotion. Now, what's emotion? Break that down. Motion, energy. What I just talked about a few minutes ago. We are more nothing than something. We are more energy than matter. Emotion. We run on. That's why we run on emotion, energy in motion. When we're feeling happy, we're feeling positive, we're feeling Friday night, right? The day before a vacation. What? Our energy is up because we're anticipating something. We're living that as if we're on vacation already. Okay? Energy and motion, waves of energy. Each word spoken can shift that. And I put it like this, the word energy up and down, because this is how our world goes. Energy up and down. It's a wave. It's not linear. It's a wave up and down. But we understand. This is what we start to understand. We become more aware of this. This how our body and how our life. It's why language is so very powerful. Not only expressions of thoughts, it moves, it shapes, it influences how we feel and act. Our language, right? Think about that. Think about how you feel when you're at a concert. You're singing along with the music. How does that, if it's a concert you're somebody you've been waiting to see, and you're there, you're in the now moment and it's taking place. You're moving, it's shaping, it influences the language of the lyrics, how it influences how you feel and how you think. Now consider belief, or break it down. Be life, belief, be life. Whatever we believe becomes part of our own life. Again, in the moment now, we be that now in that moment, be that person, be that whatever it is you want, be in that relationship, be in that you're an entrepreneur, your own business. See yourself as owning that business, as standing on stage, as a singer, as a poet, as a writer of a book. See the book already published and written. And that becomes your life because it is that right now. This is who you are right now because whenever that happens, it's going to be right now. Our beliefs, be life, shape our reality, it influencing what we see as possible. The influencing, is why society cares so much about what you believe. Again, mass media, broadcasting, TV, what? Broadcast, right? How many people were watched the fight the other night, right? I think something like 60 million people around the world. Why? Because they were brought into it by the language that was used, by the good versus evil, right? The way that it was built up. Okay. Now, for what you believe, now, if the media or the powers that be, that 1% I was talking about, if they control your belief, how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself, they control the life you create. Now consider broadcast, to cast out an idea, okay, broadly to send messages to the masses. Broadcast the other night of broadcasting an event. Millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars was generated, was moving. Okay, the fighters, the guys, the combatants, they didn't make money, but based off of the broadcast, based off of the narrative, based off how people feel. Okay, they want to go see a battle, a fight. They generated that much income, that much money was generated by these two guys. who wouldn't know one person of all the people that watched. Those guys wouldn't know any of them. They would walk past them today or tomorrow. They would now somebody else might recognize them. You see what I'm saying? But society said, here you go. Here's my money. Just take my money. This is great. I'm going to watch these guys who have no idea I even exist because they pay perception of what they believed, right? Believed be life, what life was going to be like then. Do this for yourself. Create your own be life, your belief. Be that person. Create that life for yourself by the thoughts and the words that you use to create a life where you have money generated. It comes to you. The weight just falls off. Okay? Be that person. Believe you are that person right now. That the relationship you attract it to you because of your beliefs, because the words you use, the thoughts you have, the language that you use. This is how you do it. Every ad, every headline, every piece of news is a broadcast, a spell cast over society. Was that not evident the other night, whatever night it was, right? Was that not evident? Every ad, every headline, every piece of news, right? Around the water cooler, they used to say anyway, at work, in offices, people were talking about, you watching? Yeah, I'm watching. You watch? Oh, yeah, I'm going to watch. What do you think? Oh, this guy versus that, whatever. Every ad, every headline. What happened at the weigh-in? Tyson smacked the other guy. Well, now here's more headlines, right? Here's more reasons for now. It's really now. Oh, now I'm emotionally invested in this, right? Think about that. How the media sucked people in. I didn't watch it, but from what I heard, it was a dud. People were very disappointed in it. But they spent all that money. They just gave all that money to these two guys. Shaping our opinions, desires, or fears on a large scale, or now consider this other word, authority. Okay, author. Okay, authority. An author are those in authority are the authors of the world. It's the world story. They don't just enforce rules. They write the script that everyone follows without most people noticing. Okay. Now I put here happy warrior. This is something that during the election, when Vice President Harris she announced her running mate, the media, okay, the ads and the headlines, but it was told the authorities within the Democratic Party told the media to use the phrase happy warrior. And somebody put together a collage of all the different news outlets right after that. And they were all using this phrase, happy warrior, happy warrior. I watched it, it was every single one, be it the anchor person in the studio or the guests that they had on. They kept referring to this person as a happy warrior, putting the viewing public under a spell, getting them emotionally tied in to the person and to this election by using the phrase happy warrior. The authorities who run the Democratic Party told the media this is the narrative, this is the phrase that you're going to use. And they dutifully carried out that order from the authorities. Hidden message. Now, speak of government, right? Govern plus meant, to govern the mind. They don't make laws as much as they shape how people think. I just talked about that. Happy warrior, okay? What they believe, okay? What they see as normal, not only to control mental guidance, not only, but to control mental guidance, placing boundaries of what you accept as truth. The government does this. Not going to get too much into this. but I just want to sort of touch on it to get you an idea of how the 1% in the world, how they how they get us to think certain ways or influence our thinking, influence the language that we use, the words that we use. Okay. Now, again, I spoke about this a few minutes ago. Occupation, just as a job, right? Or just a job, you would think, occupation. But think about occupy, something that fills your time, something that fills your energy. It's not just work, it's a spell that occupies your time, your mind, and keeping you focused on tasks. Now, I talked about that a few minutes ago, but think about that way. This is just some some kind of think about. Next would be mortgage. Now, we get to a certain age, and we say, "Hey, I have a certain amount of money. I want to go get a home." But society says, the majority of, well, you need to go to a bank and have the bank approve you for a mortgage. Okay, a mortgage, mort. Breaking it down, mort engaged. Mort is death. This comes from, I believe, a Latin. Death pledge, gauge. It's a death pledge. Is tying you into a long-term contract, to go back to what we first started about, right? First talked about, that controls your life until it's paid off. A commitment that drains your time and your energy. You're working, you're working extra hours, right? You're trying to strive. You want to get to a point where maybe you're making the payment and then you have extra money left over, because once you have this, then you go and you start a family, or maybe you already have a family and you get into a mortgage, draining your time and energy, keeping you bound to the system in exchange for the illusion of ownership. You own a home, right? If you have a mortgage, technically you don't really own the home. The bank owns the home until you pay it off. Now, if you're young enough and watching this and you don't understand necessarily yet, know that when you buy a home, let me rephrase that. Know that when you go to the bank and the bank approves you for a loan, you are able to, the bank allows you to live in this structure known as a home. But the bank owns the home. You don't own anything. There's an illusion of ownership. You don't own it until you pay off the debt, you pay off the loan. Then the bank sends you the title to the home. Now you are the rightful owner of that property. Oftentimes in our society, this paying it off happens, well, I mean, they do call it a 30-year mortgage rate for a reason. Oftentimes it takes 20 to 30 years to pay off the home, to be the rightful owner of the home. So you're under this contract that drains your time and your energy. Again, though, this is society's script that we are under the spell of. Just making certain that you're creating this awareness. I would like for you guys to have hopefully you're getting a lot of aha moments by watching this, okay? Each of these words isn't just a label, it's a spell, a carefully crafted command that shapes how you live, how you think, and how you see yourself. Language, again, it's layered. It's designed to keep you within invisible walls. Here, though, is the truth that they don't, again, the 1% want you to see. You have the power to break free from these spells. Okay? Right now, choose words that set you free instead of binding you. It sounds somewhat simplistic. I'm sure you're going to think this way, but it really comes down to the words that we use. How do you see yourself right now listening to this? And how can we start to change the narrative? We start by changing how we see ourselves, the words we use, starting to catch ourselves when we're using words that the old Bible called the old man, okay? The old thinking. As we start to change that, as we start to foster this new mindset, we start to free ourselves from the script, from the language that society has had us speaking. Right. Words that create possibilities, use language with intention, dismantle the script, design your life. Most people, again, 90% are asleep, going through life, repeating the same words, never questioning their meanings, never seeing the invisible chains, never seeing the invisible chains that they're tied to. Okay? Language is more than communication. It is control. Remember, like I just said, whoever controls your language that you use controls your. Consider simple phrases. Maybe as a child you heard, you're not good at that. Or this is just the way things are. If you ever heard that before, okay? Now, seemingly harmless words, right? But they start to shape the framework of how you see yourself in, again, in your world, how you see yourself in your world, not the world. From a young age, our minds are like fertile soil, absorbing every word, every idea. Our beliefs, okay, be life. The words we use, the language we use, the thoughts we have are like seeds being planted in this soil, which is our mind. And these seeds, some of these you see here, some of these seeds were planted 30, 40, even some of you watching this 50 or even more 60 years ago that we don't even realize still exist and still influence how we see ourselves in our world. Social psychologists and neuroscience say that repeated phrases and ideas carve pathways in our brain, reinforcing certain beliefs over and over until they feel like truths. What is the old saying? That's just who I am. Growing up, I remember hearing about people like my parents' age, my aunts and uncles. Well, so and so are just they're set in their ways because they've used phrases and words so many times that they've carved these paths in their brain. Think of it this way. If you think of yourself walking, you see tall grass, maybe say your knees or your hips, okay? That's how tall it is. If you walk across it, the grass will bend and snap back up, okay? But think of yourself walking the same path for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. Eventually, that grass goes down and it stays down. That's the path you've created in your mind. This is the path that you have created and how you think. But neuroplasticity, quantum physics has come around and said that we can create different pathways in our minds. Okay? The brain's ability to reorganize itself, neuroplasticity. By changing the way we think, by changing the way we talk to ourselves, we create new pathways in our world, in our brain, but in our world. Okay? This became so important. Our brains can change, but the words and phrases, okay, that we repeat to ourselves and expose ourselves to determine the direction of that change. This is why changing the conversation in our brains for ourselves is so very important. Now we understand that just by changing the language and changing our thoughts and how we speak to ourselves and the world changes our world. We can go from, prior to this video, struggling with money, struggling with relationships, with how we see ourselves, confidence in ourselves. Changing this narrative, we change everything. Suddenly, over time, we start to change ourselves. We become that new person. Now, what this means is every word you speak, hear, or think is like a tiny program running in the background of your mind. I talked about this. Our subconscious mind. That's the script that we don't even realize is taking place. Our thoughts and self-talk become the operating system for how we view our world or the world. In Buddhism, there is a teaching on right speech. It's part of the Noble Eightfold Path. emphasizing using words that are truthful, kind, and constructive. This ancient wisdom highlights something that modern science now confirms. Now, think about that for a second. Ancient wisdom, been around for thousands of years, and only now science is confirming that our language doesn't just influence others, it wires our own mind. So speaking to somebody, however we speak to them, if we're mad and we're throwing out words and we're in the moment and we're screaming at them, it's not just influencing them, it is wiring our own mind. What we say to another, we say to ourselves. And I will tell you, as you see another, you are seeing yourself. Whatever it is about another person you don't particularly care about, that's because that person, they're mirroring back to you a part of you you don't like. You never change them. You only change yourself. And by changing yourself, they change. Or they change in the sense that you don't look for confirmation by them changing. They're either going to, as you change yourself, they're either going to change or they're going to just disappear. They're going to go out of your life. But I will tell you though, if you're waiting for them to change and then they leave, them, whoever they are, that whatever they embody, they're always going to be re-manifested in your life as another person, because that whoever that is inside of you hasn't changed. You're just seeing reflected in somebody else. That personality, that whatever it is that they embody, you're just going to find it in another person. So go back to the fight the other night. Many people didn't like one of the combatants. It's because that whatever is inside of them, that he's just reflecting back to that person what's inside of them. They're going to find that in that person. They're just going to find it in another person. It's inside of them that they don't like. It's not him. He's just reflecting back to them what they don't like about themselves. Because that same person's attitude doesn't have any effect on somebody else. There's your confirmation. If it doesn't bother somebody else, it's because it's not that person. It's what's inside the person who says, I can't stand this person. I hate that guy. No, it's what's inside of you don't like. That needs to change, not them. Because the other person standing next to you says, that doesn't bother me. There's your confirmation. Okay? Now, think about your language as a brushstroke. Okay? The words you use as a brushstroke. Painting a mental image that gradually becomes reality you accept as normal. An example, let's say, I'll never be good enough. Okay? You constantly say this, your brain starts to believe it. Okay? It is setting up barriers whenever you try to achieve something new. This is called confirmation bias. So if you say to yourself, I'm just not good at whatever it is, the more you say it, the more your brain says, okay, fine, we're going to put you in situations where that's going to be confirmed in your life. That's referred to as confirmation bias. You're eventually going to be put into a situation where you say, see, I told you I can't do that, or I'm not good at whatever. That's confirmation bias. And that's what happens as we continually talk to ourselves this way, negatively. But same holds true as positive. Your brain seeks evidence, I just mentioned that, to accept what it already believes. To step outside the limits of language, start with awareness. Listen to the words or phrases you use every day. Okay? Are they lifting you up or are they holding you down? If you say, I can't afford this, try saying, how could I make this possible? You see a car you like. I can't afford that. You change that. How can I make this car possible to be part of? How can I attract that into my life? This is one of the ways you change the thinking and the language. Or this is too hard. Change that for what can I learn from this? Okay. Words don't just have meanings, they carry energy. Studies show that words can actually change the structure of, now this is what I was talking about earlier. Studies show that words can actually change the structure of water molecules. Positive words create belief, a beautiful or excuse me, positive words create beautiful, ordered shapes. Negative ones create chaotic shapes. Since our bodies are mostly water, the words we choose could impact us on a physical uh, level to let me say that again because I'm looking at this from an angle. Since our bodies are mostly water, the words we choose could impact us on a physical level too, affecting our moods throughout our moods and health. The words you choose are not just for communication, they're for creating the life that you want. Choose words that align with positivity, growth, and possibility. Your words are vibrations, frequencies that interact with the world around you, literally impacting the structure of reality in your life. Scientists in the fields of cymatics have shown that sound waves create precise patterns in materials like sand, water, and even air. One astounding study demonstrates this here, the power of words, was by Dr. Masaru Emoto. This is the study that he conducted, I think, back in the early 1980s. Now, speaking or writing negative words to water, then freezing it to observe the crystal structure. So what he did was he took water and he spoke to it using negative words or writings. And then what he did was he froze it and he wanted to observe the structure of the water. He found that positive words like love and gratitude formed intricate, beautiful crystals in the water, while words like hate and fear created chaotic, fragmented shapes. Now, here's how this gets personal. Okay, but think about that for a second. What he did was he spoke to the water. That sounds crazy, right? If the first time you think about it, like he spoke to water, but then he froze it and he wanted to see what would happen. Positive, uplifting, loving words formed crystals. Now remember I talked about this earlier. Majority of our body is nothing, it's water. 60% of our body is made up of water. So if words can have impact water in such a physical way that he demonstrated, imagine how our cells, the water inside us, respond to the words that we speak and hear every day. We don't just speak or hear words, we don't just speak or hear words, we're affecting our own cellular structure. So think about that. The words that we use, the way we speak to ourselves, the language that we're around, how things affect us. It affects us on a cellular level. Our cellular makeup of our body is affected by this. It's not just water. Studies on plants show that language has a significant impact on the growth and health of these plants. Plants who are exposed to kind words and positive music thrive, while those subjected to negative speech or silence grow slower or even wilt, indicating that language or the energy behind it influences the world around you. So now I'm going to pause here for a second. Think about what I just spoke about, what the studies showed, how our words are impacting our world. Again, your world, different than my world. But it's been confirmed that water, when frozen, when it's around positive, uplifting words and language, beautiful crystal like a snowflake. Negative or silence or negative words, chaotic, chaos. This is what's going on in your world. So now we change this, and this is how we change ourselves. We change our world. And as we change our world, we change others around us. We change ourselves on a cellular level. So our health is changed. Everything about us, our blood pressure drops or lowers, I should say, or it helps to lower blood pressures. Stress levels inside of us lower. The feel good neurochemicals inside of us, the feel good chemicals rises. We feel better, we act better, we have more energy. This is why it's so important to change the way we're thinking and to be cognizant of how we think every single moment of our day, to be cognizant as much as possible about how we feel. Because as we do this, we change ourselves, we change our world around us. By choosing kinder words, even towards yourself, you can create an environment, a positive environment that affects not only you, but everything around you. This is what I'm talking about. You understand this and you grasp this power, you change yourself, you change everything around you, and everything in your life changes for the better, starting right now. Because remember, there is no such thing as later, there is no such thing as an hour ago. Everything is right now. Right now, you change the way you're thinking. You see yourself as being confident, as being capable of whatever it is you want to achieve in your life. You do that, and everything in your life will change. It can't not. It was demonstrated here in these scientific studies. If you would like any type of assistance with this coaching, you can go ahead and go to my channel, click on the link. I'll be happy to share, any helpful hints I have for you, if coaching you in any way that you would like to have coaching for whatever it is that you're finding challenges with. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you the next time.